Hi everyone, so it's time for a new vlog and I'm gonna try to make this as quick as possible because I'm in the parking lot and people keep on constantly walking around and the lighting is always trash in here. But anyways, I'm so excited to do this. It's kind of like a spontaneous idea, but I feel really good about it, and that is I'm gonna be doing a vlog reading my ARCs, aka advanced readers copies. And if you don't know what that means, it's just like if you're a reviewer, you can request early copies of books, usually ebooks. Sometimes people get physical books as well, and you review them, before they're published and whatever. And one of the biggest sites to be able to do that is called Netgalley. There's someone behind me now. So I'm gonna film it from this trash angle for a second. I'm still kind of a Netgalley newbie, to be honest, and so I don't have the best routine and whatever. So I have some books that are coming out in quite a while, and then I have a few books that are out already that I still haven't managed to review, so I want to do a mixture of those. We'll see how many of them I will do, but I would love to get my NetGalley score to at least 70%, because there's quite a few books that I want to request, and I don't want to request them before I do that, because I really want them. And this idea is absolutely 100% inspired by Mina from Mina Reads. I absolutely love Mina, and they did this video quite a while ago at this point. I'm not sure if it was just one or two, but either way, I fucking loved it, and I absolutely love Mina. I'm gonna link that video or those videos, if there's more, down below. So I absolutely love Mina's vlogs, and this was a concept that I just loved. There was just something so satisfying about it to, watch, and I want to do that myself because I really need to get that score up, and hopefully it's going to be a super fun reading vlog for you as well. The lighting, the angles, an absolute tragedy. Anyway, so the first book that I'm going to start with is Unlock Your Storybook Heart by Amanda Lovelace. When I was on my way to the car, got the email that I got approved, even with the shit 60 something percent score. So I'm really happy about that because I really wanted this, but at the same time, they have an ebook and an audiobook of this. It's narrated by the author, which I'm super excited for. So Amanda Lovelace is a poet that I don't always adore, but usually their books are easy for me to read, and there are some poems that resonate with me, and they're never the absolute best, but it's still an enjoyable experience, if that makes sense. So I'm gonna listen to that tonight, and I'm probably gonna update you when I finish it, to be honest. Not only is poetry something I read super fast, but it's also something I never really know what to say about. So I'm gonna shut up now. I'm gonna go drive home, and I'll talk to you soon. So it's a little while later. I'm obviously at home now, and I just finished Unlock Your Storybook Heart, and I really enjoyed it. And I already just reviewed it. I posted it on NetGalley, and I am now at the feedback ratio of 64%. So that's not bad. Before I saved a screenshot, I already successfully forgot it. Okay. I was at 62%. So, only 2%, yes. But I feel like 64% feels quite a bit better. It's still kind of bad, but it could be worse. Basically, the book is mainly about perfectionism and really just relating that to your worth and not really enjoying life because of it, and not being focused on the right things that actually make you happy and things like that. It's honestly really hard to describe. And I do think that I'm kind of conflicted when it comes to how I actually would prefer to consume Amanda Lovelace's books and maybe poetry in general. I think that listening to the audiobook narrated it, when it's narrated by the author, for poetry, it can be really impactful because you hear, the person's emotions, and it just makes it feel more personal, and you can kind of connect with it more in some ways. But at the same time, I think for me, I just absorb the poems more when I read them. And there are times when I even reread a poem, and when I read novels, I don't pay attention to every word. Definitely not that kind of reader that goes back or whatever. I just read it. But in poetry, I actually try to really pay attention and let the words absorb so that I can fully, let it resonate and hit me in my feels and all of that, and I can't do that with the audiobooks. With the audiobooks, it's just like I hear it and I'm like, oh yeah, wow, that's impactful, but then it moves on to other poems and I feel like I already forget it, you know? Yeah, I think in the future I might prioritize ebooks because I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think that like this whole series and pretty much all of Amanda Lovelace's books have illustrations, and that's the case with honestly like most poetry in general. And so I'm like, I think that like the ebook or physical book experience might actually be better. We talked about Amanda Lovelace's books before, and I feel like I say the same thing every time. But that's because, like, I do have a similar experience with, like, all of them. Because, like, a lot of them, they do have different themes and different, like, underlying stories or whatever, but they definitely have similar patterns. Like, Amanda obviously has, like, a specific style, and that is, like, a really modern, simple writing style, you know, like, short poems, straight to the point, that kind of thing. And while I don't fully always love that, I feel like for Amanda Lovelace, I do usually connect with at least some of the poems, and they do, like, I relate to them and they inspire me or something, and that is honestly all that I want. Like, I never expect to entirely fully love any collections. That has honestly happened to me with quite a few, like, I mean, not quite a few, quite few with poets, and like I do have favorites. I actually made a poetry guide for newbies or something a while ago, and I'm gonna link that down below because I feel like it could be relevant to some people, because I do know that quite a few people often mention on booktube that, you know, they would like to get into poetry but they don't actually like know where to start, or, you know, like they haven't really read it yet or whatever. So you can check that out, and I do mention basically like all of my top favorites that are like really like I fucking love them. So anyways, first book done. I'm really happy about that. And then the next update is slightly like I don't want to say irrelevant, but I have a book that's not out that I did mention to you in a different reading blog, and I don't have it on Netgalley, so you know that's not gonna change my score, but it is a book that's coming out soon but isn't out yet, and I have it through Libro FM. I mentioned the book, but then I didn't finish it. I really wanted to like update you on it, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do it in here even though it's not a Netgalley book, you know, like who the fuck even cares, like whatever. And I'm loving the book so much, and I just like I want to tell you about it even though I already did, you know, I want to update you on it. So that is A Brush with Love by Maisie Eddings. It's an adult contemporary romance. It's about Harper and Dan, and the two of them basically are studying college to become dentists. And Harper is like a super focused student. She is super determined to get into this like residency program, and she basically puts all her attention and her entire like energy life into this and like being a dentist and like everything around it. And then we have Dan, who is basically really struggling with his studies. He's in his first year, but the two of them are like the same age. And he actually fucking hates it. He doesn't want to do it, but because of his parents, he feels like he has to. And he has a lot of complicated feelings with that are definitely like explored in the book. And Harper also has anxiety, and I absolutely adore that representation in here. The two of them basically run into each other. Harper accidentally like breaks this like thingy that Dan like made and worked hard on, and then she suggests that she's gonna help him make that thing again. It's like a dentist thing, I don't remember the name. And then like they slowly hang out, and what I love so much about this is like they kind of become friends at first. They become really close. But like Dan basically like falls head over heels so fast. He's so gone for her. I love him so much. And then Harper is holding herself back a lot. She's like, I can't fall in love with him. I can't be with him in that way. We need to be just friends, because she is just super focused on her career, and she's gonna have to move for like the dream residency program that she has. And so she's like, I can't do any of this right now. And like, oh my god, I fucking love this book. I love it so much. And like I don't even like I love the main characters. I love like all of the like mental health things, not just the anxiety, but like the things that the two of them like struggle with emotionally, mentally, all of that, and the way that like it's dealt with and like explored and everything around it. Fucking love it. The two of them have a lot of like trauma as well. They have dealt with a lot of loss and things around that and just like all of those things together, absolute perfection. And I'm rooting for them so hard, and like I love them so much, and I just love it. I need everyone to read it when it comes out. So again, it's coming out on March 1st, and I honestly, like, I don't know, maybe I could get this video done quickly, but there is a chance that, like, I mean, it's definitely gonna be super close if it hasn't already happened. So absolutely loving this. So I'm not fully finished with it yet. I'm at like 60 something percent. And I do think I'm going to take a break and I'm going to finish it tomorrow because listening to audiobooks for a long time makes me feel kind of like weird and sick and uncomfortable. And since, you know, Unlock Your Storybook Heart was also an audiobook, like I feel like it's a little bit too long. But I also want to savor this book. I've been reading it for a few days, and sometimes I just really love not rushing through books. Like I read books super fast because, you know, like I want to. But sometimes like it's so nice to like slow down.
Say what you wanna say to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning.
So it's the next day now, and I have some updates. I finished A Brush with Love, and I just absolutely fucking loved it. I just connected to the main characters so much, and I loved the romance so much. And like, I just honestly enjoyed so much about this book, and it's just the kind of story that has a really strong romance while also having really strong, like, emotional components when it comes to the, like, main characters' individual, like, journeys and, like, mental health and all of that, which, like, those things are some of the like, things that I love the most in books. And then there were some friendships as well on the side, you know, like added to it, which is another thing that I always love to see. And so I just absolutely loved it. And Dan is such an amazing hero, and like seriously, if you love the kind of heroes that are just absolutely gone for the heroine from the start, they fall first, you know, like all of that, you absolutely are gonna love this. And I also really loved Harper's journey. And again, like she was the one that was like held back and she had a lot to figure out. And I just loved the mental health, mental illness representation in here. And the thing, like a warning though, it gets really intense. Like overall, I would say the tone of the book, like for a large part, is like lighthearted, sweet fun, you know? But there are definitely some really intense moments and really intense things that both of them have to figure out and like heal from and all of that. And so the biggest ones are just that there are some panic attacks and just like really intense anxiety from Harper, and both of them have dealt with loss of their parents, and so these are like the main things. So if that's something that you know want to avoid, or you want to wait for like the right moment to read it, definitely like do make sure to be careful in that sense. But I felt like all of that was dealt with so well, and it was just like really just a really strong component of the story. If there's one thing that's like the only thing that I didn't fully love, it is the like third act breakup conflict. That was so fucking painful, and like I hated every second of it. And I generally hate like third act breakups, and it's honestly like I never enjoy it. And like I understand the point of it, you know, and like it's not something that I think is objectively bad. And you know, like in this book it did make sense. It's just like I am a very sensitive reader, and I just hate to see my favorite characters in pain in any shape or form, and I understand it's necessary sometimes, but I don't enjoy a second of it. But seriously, like the book was so good, and I'm so happy that I got to read it early, and that I just got to read it at all. I finished that, so again, it's not a Netgalley book, so I am going to review it, just not, you know, on Netgalley. The next book that there's basically two main books that I want to read next. One of them is again breaking the Netgalley rule, and the other one is a Netgalley book. So let's start with the Netgalley book. and that is The Midnight Girls by Alicia Yusinska. So I started this. So this book is one of those that is out. I got so excited for it, and I was shocked when I got the ARC, and I was so excited, but it was in December, and I basically just never managed to do anything in December because I put too many things on my plate. And like I just, I just tried to do too many things before the end of the year, and tried to finish everything, all of that, and it's just always too much, never manageable. This is a YA fantasy book that has a sapphic romance in it, and I just I already love it. So I started a little bit of it, and I actually got the audiobook. I have actually only read one fantasy book so far this year in the past 2 months. Out of 40 books, one of them was a fantasy book. And I think I read 2 fantasy romances, but they were really focused on the romance. And I think this one actually could be a fantasy romance. I don't know how much, the romance is going to be at the center of the story. I can't really fully tell you much about the plot because I only started a little bit of it, but it's basically, what I do know is that it's like a villain love story. 2 villains get together, and they're both girls who work for those kind of dangerous old scary witches, and they do different tasks for them, they murder people for them and other things like that. So yeah, I'm just so excited to see how the romance develops, because basically the 2 of them have this really strong rivalry. For a long time, they don't know of each other, they don't know each other, but they know of each other. They kind of keep on having this back and forth from afar of, they are meant to kill the same person, and then one of them kills them and the other doesn't, and that kind of thing. And so I'm just so excited for this. I think it's gonna be so good. I was listening to the audiobook and I didn't want to stop reading, but I had to eat dinner and stuff. So yeah, and I also like the fact that the beginning is kind of it has a fairy tale narration vibe, and I really liked that. And so I think this is gonna be amazing. And yes, it's also a standalone, which I always am the biggest fan of. I think that standalone fantasy for sure is where it's at for me. So yeah, and the other book that I can finally tell you about that I don't have on Netgalley, but that is Wherever Is Your Heart by Anita Kelly. And this is an adult contemporary romance novella, and it is the 3rd one in this. I forgot the name, but it's just in the series, and they're all companions. But I have read the 1st and 2nd book, and I fucking loved them. I love Anita Kelly so much, and they actually sent me the ARC of this, and I am just so happy and grateful for that. This is a book that I'm extremely excited for. So I think this is coming out. It might be coming out on March 1st as well, actually. I feel like I'm talking way too much, way too fast, and I'm out of breath now, and yeah, but I only started this book a tiny bit, so I can't really tell you much about it yet, but this one is a sapphic romance, and I know that Anita said that it's a slower, calmer story, and I honestly am so here for it. I need to shut up, but these are the main books that I'm going to be reading next, and then we'll see what we do after, but I'm so excited. And actually, the only last thing I'm gonna say is that there is actually a YA contemporary book that I just ran into that I've had on my TBR for a while, and I just saw that it's on Read Now on NetGalley. So I'm trying to resist, but it's hard because with the Read Now, I kind of feel like it could change, and it could then not be on Read Now tomorrow or after tomorrow, or I can't know, and I don't want to miss out the opportunity. But then I'm if I'm trying to get my score up, why the fuck would I get another book to get it down? But I set the rule for myself that I'm gonna finish one book at least, review it, and then request that. So we'll see how that goes, but I really need to shut up now, so I'm gonna go read, and I'll talk to you soon.
Fake to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning. Say what you wanna say to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning. Show me there's nothing fake to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning. Turn this room, turn it to an ocean. Let me float around.
Hi everyone, so I have some updates. I'm really excited to share them with you. So I think the last thing that I mentioned is that I was starting The Midnight Girls by Alicia Isenska, and I am now halfway through. I'm really enjoying it. One thing that I want to say first of all is there's, like the quick little line on Goodreads says that two enchantresses secretly compete for the heart of a prince only to discover that they might be falling for each other. So when I first heard that, I thought that this meant they want to win his heart for to fall, they want to, they're in love with him or something, that they want to be with him in that way. But it's actually they are literally competing for his heart, because the heart is the thing that the witches want. So the two of them are supposed to bring that to the witch that they work for, because feeding on the heart gives them an immense power and whatever. So that is very different from what I thought originally. So just wanted to bring that up if someone else understood it in that way too. So very different vibe. There's no love involved with the prince. They literally want his heart. So the two of them, Zosha and Marinka, they basically kind of become friends without knowing the other one is who they actually are. Because again, I think I mentioned that the two of them have been working against each other and rivals for so long that they didn't fully know each other's faces. And so that was such a fun, interesting dynamic. And so it is definitely well, it's kind of like a villain story. It explores them questioning their morals. And the thing that I love so much about it, that I think is going to be so good, is that in Enemies to Lovers, people I know have brought up the fact how the thing that they love about it is that the two characters hate each other, but then they basically fall in love despite knowing the other one's biggest flaws, that kind of thing. That they have seen the worst of the other person and they still fall in love with them, and I think that that is really strong in here, and I can already see hints of that, and I'm so excited. So it is a sapphic villain rivals to lovers romance, and it is really fun so far. It is told from both of their points of view. So I don't know if it's gonna be a new favorite so far. So far it's a 4-star vibe for me, but a really wonderful, super enjoyable book for sure. Now I realized that, oh my god, I did not update you on Wherever Is Your Heart. So let's talk about that now, because I think that's all that I want to say for now about The Midnight Girls anyway. I don't know if I'm going to finish it today, because I kind of I'm charging my AirPods right now, and I'm not sure if my brain is ready for another audiobook, or to keep listening to audiobooks. But we'll see. Either way, I definitely think I'm going to finish it super quickly, because again, I feel I flew through the beginning, and it's not long, really. It's not. It's 336 pages or something. Anyways, I finished Wherever Is Your Heart. And I knew I would like this book. I knew I would love this book. But something happened because of the book that I did not expect at all. That was holy fuck, I can't believe this is happening. And that is, it made me want to start a blog again. So, a quick little backstory, I used to be a blogger for years, and it's wild to think about. I honestly just kind of forgot about it now that I am thinking about it. But when I was 10 or something, something around that age, I was blogging so much, and the thing that was popular back then, or that I knew, were mainly celebrity blogs, and I had so many blogs about celebrities and different ones, and I was this is the one that I'm gonna stick to, and then I changed my mind. I started another, and oh my god, that is wild to think about. So I did not read at all back then, but I did actually also start blogs about books 6 years ago or something. I don't know, something like that. And I never really kept up with it, because then I slowly shifted my YouTube channel into books, and I was just like not really enjoying it that much anymore, and I didn't like, just yeah. And so I stopped, and since then I haven't really had a blog, and I kept on. Sometimes it like crossed my mind, but I never really went for it. And for context, also, I actually studied creative writing and journalism in college, and so that kind of like forced me to write like articles again and things like that. And I enjoyed it, but I just like wasn't sure if I loved it enough to the point that I would commit to a blog, because I felt like, I have so much to commit to already, like YouTube and like social media and writing and whatever, like all these things. But like when I was reading Wherever Is Your Heart, I like vividly started imagining the thing that I would write about it. So often, if I'm vlogging about books, as I'm reading, like I imagine what I'm going to say to you all sometimes. And I think about like, oh my gosh, this is something I want to mention, whatever. But it's never in like a written sense. And for this, I just imagined the review. I imagined this one sentence. And it like suddenly I was hit with this ache to do that kind of thing again and like to write in that way, which is something I haven't done for so long. And I just like, the second I had that thought, I was like, you know what, I think I need to do this right now. And I don't want to put any sort of pressure on it. I just want it to be something that I do purely for fun, with no goal in mind besides writing blog posts that are just super fun for me to write. So I'm gonna link the blog down below, and I don't know how exactly, like how often I'm gonna post. I don't want like a strict schedule or anything, but I am getting really fucking excited, and it's like just giving me something to like focus on and get excited about, which I really desperately need. So I'm gonna shut up about that now, but if you want to check that out, it's gonna be linked down below. I hope you like it if you check it out, but I'm really excited about it. So let's talk about Wherever Is Your Heart. It is just so fucking beautiful, and I don't know what I said in the vlog here to you, but it is an adult sapphic contemporary romance novella, and it is about two butch lesbians who have been pining over each other for fucking ages. And so basically, June was coming to this bar constantly where Mal is a bartender, and so they kept on like having interactions, but both of them were terrified to ask the other one out, or like they were just really nervous, and whatever. But now it's Pride Month, and June has her 50th birthday, and they're both of them are like gathering more courage to ask the other one out. And then it finally happens, and I think that actually that's all that I'm going to say about the plot, because this book is not about the plot at all. There's basically no plot to this book. It's just about the two of them pining and then finally like coming together into this beautiful, lovely, sweet relationship. Like this book is just a pure comfort read. It is just the most beautiful vibe, and like I just fucking adored it. And Anita said in like the email where they were sending me the arc, and maybe I think like in like maybe on Twitter or something, whatever, they said that like this is the quietest book out of the whole series so far, and I definitely agree with that. And while it might not be for everyone, like if you really need plot, and if you don't like the thought of a book with like no plot and just like character dynamics and dialogue and the development of their relationship, then you are probably not gonna like this one. But if you do like that, then you're gonna absolutely love this. I just fucking love Mal and June, and it was just so wonderful to see them like develop their relationship, and just like it was just so beautiful and soft, and I just absolutely recommend it. So yes. I think that's all that I'm gonna say about it, but I just absolutely recommend it. You should definitely check it out, and I recommend this whole series. I don't know if I mentioned this to you, but I was super tempted to download another book on Netgalley. I was like, I should not do that, but it was on Read Now, and I was like, I really want to read this, and I don't know how long it's gonna be on the Read Now, but I was like, I should get my score up first. So I thought I would do that once I finished, The Midnight Girls. But I just went for it. I went for it, and I could not like regret it any less. Like, I mean, I don't regret it at all. Okay, like I am so excited. So did I say the name of the book? So that is My Mechanical Romance by Alexine Ferrell Falmouth, and It is a YA contemporary romance that is rivals to lovers. And I read only like a little bit of it, but I'm already so excited. I'm enjoying it so much. One thing that I actually was shook by is that this is the author of the Atlas Six, Olivia Blake. That, like, I think Olivia Blake is her pen name, and this might be her real name. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, I haven't read the Atlas Six yet, but I think I'm gonna absolutely adore it. I'm just waiting for a time when I can get the book physically. So before I shut the fuck up, finally, I wanted to share something with you, which is that when I went out yesterday, I got a book. So that book is Here's to Us by Becky Albertalli and Adam Silvera, which is the sequel to What If It's Us. And I read What If It's Us like when it came out, basically. Oh my god, I went to the signing for that book. I went to the signing for that book and I saw Becky Albertalli and Adam Silvera. Like, oh my god. Oh my gosh. Okay, wow. Anyways, clearly I have the best memory ever. So that was a super cool experience. So I actually have that book signed. I have it over there. Anyways, I was really hoping, like, it came out like a few weeks ago, and I was really hoping I would find it at the bookstore because the two authors of this book are like some of the most popular authors, and the bookstores where I live have some of the like absolute most popular authors, nothing else. But you know, I was like, maybe they'll have this, and they did. I'm so happy that I could get it. I'm definitely gonna be reading it soon. So I'm gonna shut up now, and I don't know how much more I'll read today. It's time for an update. I finished The Midnight Girls an hour ago, and I really enjoyed it. So, like I told you, I think I was listening to the audiobook. It's just like such a quick, really cool story, and I feel like I haven't read anything like it before, and it was just really interesting and fun and fast-paced, and I loved the two main characters. It was just so interesting to see how, like, the two of them basically had these really unique experiences, like, pretty much the same thing happened to them, and yet they like react really differently, and they're kind of polar opposites in a lot of ways, but at the same time, you know, they see themselves in the other, like a piece of themselves, and that like makes their connection really strong. But then there's like a lot of frustration and fear around it and all of that, and that was just so cool. And so if you want to read a fantasy book with super complex characters, this is just so good when it comes to that. And I do still think that, like, they're not really fully villains. Like, I still think they're just really morally gray characters with some definitely questionable morals, and like they've done questionable things, they've done horrible things, but I still feel like they're morally gray characters, and just I love them. And just this was a fucking amazing book, and it's a really quick read and just so cool and cozy. The writing style, like I said, I think is very fairy tale like. If I have one complaint, it is that I think a lot of people, if you know me, you honestly expect what I'm gonna say. And that is that I just wish we got a little bit more for the romance. And so the thing is, like, in this book, the romance is really slow burn, and it doesn't fully like get to flourish. And so that is just something that I always crave. And like I am happy when we get like the beginning of something, but I wanted to go further than that. And obviously it's not for everyone, and I understand it's like not that kind of book, but I still wish I got more from it, cuz for me as a romance reader, it just like I wanted a little bit more. So that makes it like a 4-star for me, not a 5-star. But like still this is so good, and like I still really loved what we do get for the romance, and I loved the main characters, and it was just such a complex, amazing, well-developed story, and I highly recommend it. And I don't think I mentioned that I read The Dark Tide by Alicia Isenska, and I enjoyed that one as well. That was actually like also 4-star for me, but I think I liked this even more. Like I can definitely see some improvement, and the Dark Tide also had the issue of like there was like a hint of a romance, and I was so excited, but it was just like a tiny drop, and it kind of began in the book. at the end in a way. And so in here we do get a little bit more, but it's still kind of a similar situation where it's just like the start of something. But yeah, still definitely recommend the book. So yes. I reviewed it already. I don't know about everyone else, but when I have a book that I want to review for Netgalley or whatever, I do it immediately after finishing the book for two reasons. One, I don't want to forget anything and I forget things really quickly. And two, if I don't do it immediately, it like is super hard for me to do another time, and I like hate forcing myself into it, and so I just get it done right away. Because I see all the people who put on Goodreads like review to come, and then it never comes, and that would be me if I did that. And so I reviewed it and I got to 65% of the ratio. So like not amazing, but we're making progress. We're getting somewhere. I did also make progress with my mechanical romance, and it is super fun so far. So I got to like 22%, and it's just such a fun YA contemporary so far. It's really easy to read. I like the voice. And so it's about Tio and Belle, and they kind of become like a little bit of like rivals. Though at the beginning of the book where I'm at right now, they barely know each other, basically like not at all. And so Belle ends up joining the robotics team. And Tio, at first, I think he's like super impressed by something that she does, by her skills. And he's like, she's the one to choose because like it matters to him so much how like well the robotics club does and all of that. And so he wants to pick like the top best person. And so Belle clearly has some really amazing skills, but for her it's like she basically comes there to fail and not get into the club. And she doesn't want to be there. She wants to avoid it. And I think it's really interesting the way that she feels about it and her skills, that she kind of feels like she doesn't really have skills in those areas and things like that. And so I'm curious to see her character development and everything. I just really like them, and it's so easy to read, and I'm really excited to keep on reading it. I'm really happy that I did end up saving it on Netgalley. So that is that. And then I think the last update for now that I think is something I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get back to reading If This Gets Out by Sophie Gonzalez and Cale Dietrich, I think. So this is a book that came out already again, and I started it once again on audio once it came out, and I don't know, like I read I think maybe like a half of this book already, and I was in this really weird mood, and I feel like that just kind of ruined my reading experience, and I wasn't as in love with it as I was hoping, and I was just kind of struggling to read it, and I was just getting frustrated with myself. But I absolutely don't want to DNF it, because while I think that now, I feel like it might not be like a new favorite or like an incredible 5-star, but I still think it's going to be an amazing book that I want to experience. And so this is a romance in a super famous pop star band of boys, and two of them fall in love. I am really excited to read it. I don't know, there's just something weird about my mood when it comes to it, but I'm gonna give it a try, and if I, get back to listening and I feel like I'm still not in the mood, I'm gonna do it another time, but I feel like I could be getting in the mood. So since I finished The Midnight Girls, I want to have another audiobook, and so I think that is what I'm gonna go for. So I'm gonna shut up now, I'm gonna take a shower, then get back to reading, and I'll talk to you soon. Hi everyone. So we started the vlog in the car and we're ending it in the car. I have some updates and I'm gonna wrap up the vlog, but first I just got Starbucks and they filled it up all the way today, which is honestly kind of surprising because I started getting like iced chai latte with less ice. Usually like there's a little bit less of it sometimes. Last time I got it without ice and that was not it. I feel like they just added milk, which I understand, but it just made it more milky, which I'm not a fan of. Anyways, am I in focus? I also feel like I look weird. I don't know. I hope I am in focus. I'm losing my shit. You get this angle for a second because someone parked super close and they're not leaving at all. I was so happy with that angle as well, but you get a double chin and this close angle for now. Hopefully they fuck off. Anyways, so I finished If This Gets Out, first of all. And I also finished My Mechanical Romance, but we're going to talk about If This Gets Out first. So I ended up giving it 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. I didn't completely love it originally. Like I think I mentioned, it was like a 5-star prediction for me, but I think the book wasn't exactly what I expected. I think it's a super well written book, and it's just that like it wasn't fully what I was looking for, and that's totally fine, but I do think I recommend it. But let's get into details of the thoughts. So I think that this is a really beautiful romance, and our two main characters, they, like slowly develop their feelings for each other, and I loved the romance a lot. And they definitely, like had some personal issues and things like that, and but one of the main things that stood in their way was that they're in a super big boy band, famous boy band, and the management and everything didn't want them to tell anyone. It's honestly, like, obviously, I think most of us are not in that exact situation, that we're in a famous boy band, It's kind of weird to say that I think it's written realistically, but from what I can, like, tell, I think that it's a really realistic, like, way to look at it, and it definitely goes deep into, like, the issues and struggles that has in it. And so I think it's a really well written book. I just, like, I don't know, it was probably like dumb of me to expect for the book to be lighthearted, so I don't think it should be. It's just like not, it just didn't fully work for my mood or my taste entirely, but I think it's a really good book, and the romance is really strong. It definitely has a feeling of like them against the world, especially near the end, in the second half. But it was a really great book, and I gave it 4 stars, and I still enjoyed it. But I do think you might expect the thing that I'm gonna say, like, I say 2 things really often that I, like, honestly, the main issues I have with books, or like not even issues, just things that I kind of wish for, are that it was too long for me, or the thing that I said already for the Midnight Girls, that like the romance isn't either developed enough, or that I want more content or whatever. Like, these are my main complaints. I'm really glad that I finally read it. So my score is now at 68%, but I actually just realized that I finished My Mechanical Romance, like I said, and I didn't review that because I finished that in bed, and I've been busy all day. So I'm gonna see at home. So I think I'm just gonna put on the screen my final score for now, but I think it's gonna be 70%, which I feel really great about. So also, before I get into gushing about My Mechanical Romance, I want to say I'm definitely gonna do a part 2, and I think really soon. A part of me is like, I need to get through physical books right now because I'm moving soon, but another part of me is like, I had so much fun working on this video. It honestly is one of the easiest videos I've ever like done, because it was just so exciting. I was having so much fun, and I'm so excited to share it with you. So I absolutely am going to do part 2 where I read more books, because I still have a lot and I still want to put my score higher. And so yeah, that person is still there. Like, what the fuck? Like, oh my god. Anyways, uh, so yeah, I guess we get this angle, Well, anyways, yes, My Mechanical Romance, I fucking adored it. I'm so happy. I loved it so much. It was a total 5-star for me, and I'm so happy. So we follow Belle and Tio, and they're both just amazing. And so I think did I describe the book? They're rivals. It's kind of rivals to lovers, and they are on a robotics team together. Their character development and the romance was so good. I felt like the development of it felt so natural. And with, I think, especially with rivals to lovers, the development can either be like too slow, or it can feel too rushed. But in here, I felt like it was just such a natural progression, and I shipped them so hard. Like, at the beginning of the book, like the first 20%, I was totally enjoying it. Like, it was great, but I wasn't in love. I was like, this is chill, this is fun, this is good. But then, like, I fell in love, like, with the main characters, the romance, the vibes. I even loved, like, all of the robotics team things in it, even though, like, I am by no means a sciencey person, but I am a nerd. And I just love any books about nerds, and I just love also when there's, like, a strong passion for anything, and it's like, if the characters are passionate about it, even if it's something that I don't really care for, it's just, like, it makes me care for it. So, like, while it's not even, honestly, it's not that I don't care about physics. I can appreciate it in some moments. Like, I can totally see why it's cool and why people would love it. It's just like, it was a fucking nightmare for me at school, and, like, I've always just, like, hated sciencey things because I was terrible at them at school. But yes, anyway, so that was super fun. And I just, like, oh my gosh, like, I also feel like I related to both of the main characters in so many different ways. Like, Tio was trying so hard to, like, fix everyone's problems and, like, help them solve something. And I'm like, I related to that so hard. And then Belle, she basically felt like, she wasn't good enough for the science and for the robotics team, or to be an engineer and all of that. So at the beginning of the book, she's super hesitant and she doesn't want to go for it because she has it ingrained in her head that, like, girls shouldn't be in STEM, and that, it's not her place, and that she's not good enough and all of that. And I feel like that is something that is so relatable. And so I don't know if I mentioned it, but yes, it does, like, explore what it's like to be a woman of color in STEM and, like, all of this. While it does, like, address the things around the discrimination in the sciences, why did I say it like that? Just all of that, like, it does address the challenges, but I feel like overall it's such a lighthearted, wonderful book that is so quick to read and so fun. And I just had so much fun with it, and I'm so happy that I ended up saving it. Like, in that moment, I knew, that, like, I just had to read it, and I'm so happy that I did. And now I'm even more excited to read the Atlas 6, because even though, like, that is so different, it's like an entirely different genre on every single level, but I don't know, I just now feel even stronger that I'm gonna love it, which totally makes me certain that I want to wait for the physical copy to read it. So I'm just super happy, and I'm so happy that this video was so fun. And shout out to Mina for doing that video a while ago so that I could do this. Again, that video is gonna be linked down below. I honestly want to watch it again. Like, I hope Mina does this again, but I am definitely going to do this again, so stay tuned, because I think it's gonna be soon. Like, seriously, I could keep going. I could keep going for days, but I have other things that I want to do first. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I think that's gonna be it. Again, I'm gonna put the final score on the screen, but I'm just really happy with my progress. Even if I didn't change my score, this was so fun. So I really hope you enjoyed it. If you made it this far in the video, leave a car emoji down below, because I'm in the parking lot and that is all that I see. So thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and stay tuned for part 2, and I'm gonna see you soon in another video. Bye!